I seen a quote from Usain Bolt. He trained 4 years just to run 9 seconds. People that we see that are great, they have done radical things. And sometimes, in order to reach that level, you might have to step out of your comfort zone to get the sales you want. Just because you're on Amazon don't mean the book is going to sell. You have to be your own voice to produce whatever your goal is.
Hello everyone, this is another episode of Writing Inspiration with Markee Books, and here we have our guest for today, Zoi. How are you, Zoi?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, thank you, Zoi, for coming. How long has you been a writer?
I've been writing since I was young, before I could remember. My first love is poetry, so I did a lot of poetry. And when I was in elementary school, me and my friends, we would write stories, and I would start it off, and then they would finish it or something like that. So writing has always been a passion of mine since I was a little kid.
That's great. So, do you have another work you do before you became an author or that you do at the same time?
Yeah, so my first love is trucking. I had got my CDLs when I was 21, started my own trucking business, and I'm also a nurse as well. So my favorite part of nursing is working in behavioral health, and that is what I do.
That's interesting. I guess that experience helping you to like shape certain characters.
Well, actually, I think the relationships that I met through nursing, some of my friends I have met are phenomenal women, and their stories are kind of reflected in the women who settle. My one friend, she was the reason kind of why I started this book, and she also was in nursing. So, yeah.
So, how did your writing experience start?
I think that it's an outlet for me creatively. Also, the encouragement. I have a friend, Adrienne. She just very much encourages me all the time with like my writing, my poetry, and things of that nature. And I think that being able to express what I have on the inside outwardly is very therapeutic. And the creative process, because I'm a creative person. So being able to be creative is like my outlet, my release to the world. So, yeah.
I completely get what you mean. It is therapeutic in certain cases more than others, depending on what you're writing, of course.
Mhm.
So, do you self-publish or you are traditionally publisher?
Yeah, self-published. I'm self-published. I'm on Amazon. I have my website. So I'm in a couple of bookstores. I'm excited about that.
So, how did you find the process? Because obviously, you probably did a lot of research to figure out how to do it. How was the process? How did it start?
This is my second book that I wrote. It's my first novel, like short series that I wrote. My first book was a book of poetry, and then I kind of wanted to take a different creative leap and do a novel and kind of hone in on my storytelling. So this process for me, it was familiar, so it wasn't complicated because I kind of knew like what to do and things like that.
Was there like any work of another author that inspired you while writing your books? It doesn't have to be a book, it can be a movie, it can be a series, everything.
Okay, well, my idea sparked to write short stories when I listened to a podcast, and there was an author, and she was talking about the short stories. The book was called The Secret Lives of Church Women. And I thought that that was so interesting because short stories, you kind of like get a glimpse. And I felt like this is my introduction to my novel writing because I have other novels that are more pages and more in depth. But I kind of seen this as a way to kind of like introduce myself to the world and see if they like how I write and the stories that I tell. And the feedback has been beautiful. It has been such a great experience. So I know that now I can take that next leap and write my serious novel.
So, how's your writing experience these days? Like, how do you feel with yourself while you do it?
When I was writing it on paper, because I start off on paper and then I type, when I was writing it, I felt free. I felt fun. When I was editing it, I felt kind of like maybe a little bit stressed about different.
Everyone.
Yeah. And when I released it, it just was a proud moment. My daughter, she's 12. She posted on her TikTok. She's so proud of me. And my friends were so proud. So it's worth all of the time and dedication that it takes to hone in. And to piggyback off of the previous question, I didn't really try to read books while I was writing. I didn't try to like watch things because I didn't want to get like other people's ideas in my head. So I didn't read while I was creating this book or write. But now that it's over, I'm reading a couple books and I'm happy to be back reading.
That's great. So you already that kind of respond my next question that what's the most difficult thing that you struggled with at the start and you say, well, editing.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone, editing can be hell and it can take months and you'll trap it on the first 10 pages of your book.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
It happened to me. Like I have to remake my first chapter like 3 times
Oh,
in 3 months.
yeah.
It was hellish.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you changed as a person when you started your career?
Definitely feel like I have changed as a person. I think that this book made me better. It kind of, because I'm one of the characters in this book, if y'all don't know, it's called The Women Who Settle. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
You're the one like up or on the center?
I'm her.
Oh, just like your hair looks more like the one up.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm one of those characters. She's called the enabler. And just writing it out on paper, releasing it, and seeing kind of how I was enabling in a relationship and how toxic and it was for me kind of just made me be like, wow, this really did happen. These things did happen, but I'm glad that I broke away. So it was my healing too. I focused on this book and I was able to kind of just have all negative distractions away and focus on my beauty, my works, and what I want to do instead of helping other people in a bad way. So yeah.
I I agree. Actually, people may think that maybe like a little bit lenient or forgiving to certain enablers, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep them in check in your life too, as much as abusers, in my opinion. Even my
Mm-hmm.
therapist told me that before that I needed to clean up the enablers of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens. I do understand how people end up like that too. So I do feel some sympathy. So,
Mm-hmm.
how long did you take to complete your first book?
Well, the book I have now, I feel like I've been in the works for years because it's always been up here. Like, I got the idea about 7 years ago. Like I said, I seen a friend that was settling, and a thought came into my head, like, why is she settling? And so that's where the title came from, The Women Who Settle. So I didn't really hone into my book last year. I made a declaration like, okay, I'm going to create these characters and do this short story. But I didn't take time because it takes time. You have to set aside time, so many hours. I think, one chapter can be like a whole week, just honing into it, rewriting it, adding stuff, taking things away. So I would say in the making, like from the thought process, it's been 7 years, but me being disciplined enough and sitting down and writing it, it took about 4 months. for me to
Mm.
do.
What is your writing routine? Are you a pre-planner, a plotter, or do you just like do whatever?
A little bit of all of that. So I did like pre-plan in a sense of like getting the characters. Who did I want?
Uh,
Because it
an
was,
outline,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, like an outline of like, who are they? And then what are their names? We have women in different customs. So I had to research what do they eat for breakfast? What are some of their, different things. So I did research and writing down, narrowing down. At first it started off with 20 women and then now I have six, but now I just have room for a sequel. But when I'm writing, I kind of just let it flow, just kind of let it flow once I get to that process of establishing who they are.
Do you like do anything in particular on the times you get like a block on a thought situation?
Yeah. So I think I just kind of prayed about it because there would be times where I would feel like, should I put this, should this character do this or should this character do this? And I was stuck in between, character having something traumatic happen to her in this area or this way. So I kind of just sat back and just listened to my heart and allowed God to kind of like lead me in the direction to go. But yeah, sometimes I would battle with like, what idea should I have with this?
I get it. Like you want to make every story like their own thing,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not so they don't overlap the others or the importance or the messages of the other characters.
Yeah.
Do you have like an advice for new writers like starting up?
My advice would be one, just believe in yourself. Sometimes we look for validation from other people. We look for validations from our family and our friends. And unfortunately, a lot of times, sometimes they're not the ones that support, and that's okay. But if you know that that's your book title, let it be your book title. If you know that this is the stories that you want to create and this is the book that you want to create, there's somebody out there that loves what you're going to be putting forth. So it's okay if people around you doesn't necessarily agree or encourage you or support you. Just find that inner strength and know that the world needs to hear what you have and you're special and what you have to say matters. So don't give up on you ever.
That sounds great. I completely agree. So tell me, talking a bit about your book, do you have like a story? Have you named your book?
Yeah. So The Women Who Settle
Mm-hmm.
is about six women and how they settle because we can settle in a lot of ways in life, not even just women, but men. And I kind of wanted to create a book that got people thinking like, am I settling in this area? And have a conversation piece, whether it's amongst yourself or amongst a group or whatever, to try to impact change. If you do see yourself in these characters, or even if you realize just off of the book title, am I settling in life? How am I settling? Hopefully, you can move towards changing that so that you can soar. So, my whole idea was to really also spread awareness on different issues. So we have six characters. We have a woman who is going through divorce, and she is called the pleaser. She has pleased her husband, her kids, all her life, and she now is stuck with, what do I do? I didn't pursue what I wanted to because I was pleasing everybody else. Now I'm left with nothing. So we have the pleaser, we have the prodigy. She is a girl who is torn between, does she want to do what her mother wants her to do, which is, go to college, or does she want to do what she wants to do, which is become an actress? And I think sometimes our family beliefs and our family expectations of us kind of navigate what our role instead of us taking the lead, especially for younger kids. Or even as a parent, kind of reading that chapter, seeing like maybe, I'm being a little bit too hard on my child. And if this is their goal, if this is their dream, if this is what they like, I should support them. But a lot of times parents don't support their kids if it's a decision that they don't like. But in essence, it's still their life. As a child, we have to understand like it's my child's life, and no matter what, we still should support and love on them. So that's the prodigy. The enabler, that's a character. She is actually, a lot of times we hear the enabler in situations where we're talking about substance abuse and drug addicts and things like that. But she actually enables the man that she's in a relationship with by the means of allowing him to treat her bad and still pay, still finance his living, and she accepts this horrible treatment just so that she can have a piece of love, even though it's not the way she should be loved correctly. And we also have the hurt healer. A lot of people relate to the hurt healer. It's somebody that heals everybody else, helps everybody else. She's the superwoman and has nobody to really rescue and save her. So she's hurting, but she has to be strong because she is, there for everybody else. But who's going to be there for her? So that's the hurt healer. And we also have the drunk. She's a dysfunctional, functioning alcoholic, and she sees nothing wrong with it. She's gone through some trauma, and you get to see her story. And the last person we have is called the traditional mother. I wanted to spread awareness about female genital mutilization because in the Somalian community, 98% still go through this. And so I wanted it to kind of showcase what it's like to be a mother, in their culture and their tradition. This is a way of pastorhood, but they also don't have a voice. If you're a mom and you've experienced this excruciating, traumatizing thing, you wouldn't want your child to go through this, but it's your culture, it's your tradition. So you still allow them to do so. So she's torn between, does she want to follow her traditions and settle, or does she want to break away and do what she knows is right in her heart and not allow her kids to go through that? So those are my characters in my book.
Wow, the last one sounds incredible, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see more or less what the main message of the book is. It's all about finding like a certain closure about all these situations.
Yeah, closure, exactly.
So you mentioned it that you worked on two books, right? Between them, which is your favorite?
I think The Woman Who Settled. I really love this book. I love what it represents. I love the conversation piece. I love the fact that it's a novel. I'm great at poetry and everybody loves my poems. That's what I'm used to. But this kind of like, I kind of stepped out of the box and it kind of just sparked something in me. So yeah, I love The Women Who Settle.
So, how much research do you do with each book?
Well, with my first book, I didn't. Like I said, it was just poems that were just in my heart. So I made a book of poetry. With this book, I had to research, certain situations, like I said, with the culture, how they pray, what they eat with the Somalian women, for the traditional mother. I put a lot of life experiences of things that I already know. Cause like I said, I work with people who are addicts and I've been in detox centers working as a nurse. So I have seen people be functioning drunks. And I think that's, I feel like when you're on drugs, you're not really functioning, you're out there, whatever. But having an addiction to alcohol, a lot of people hide it more because you sober up after a couple of hours or whatever. So, but it's still detrimental to your life. It's still an addiction. It's still causing you pain. And so I think that alcohol is overlooked. So, yeah.
Usually, probably it's because one is legal and drugs no, so people
Right.
tend to underestimate it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true too.
So, what's your largest goal or dream as an author?
Oh my goodness. Oprah, duh. Who doesn't want to meet Oprah or have Oprah read their books in her book club or
Oof, yeah.
yeah. Oprah for sure. Turning my book into a movie. I would love to have a series of shorts, of Netflix or somebody pick it up and have a couple of episodes because I think it's interesting to showcase the light. So either like a little short series,
Yeah,
TV series.
it can be like those anthology series about, I don't know, 2 episodes per chapter, per
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. That's what I would love.
So, what's had been like your top experience when dealing with your readers?
I love the feedback. They've texted me. I've had one lady want to take me out to lunch so that we could talk. So the feedback is great. And then also for them to say that they can relate, because that was my goal, for people to be able to relate to the characters and see themselves and hopefully initiate change so that they can soar in their own lives.
Well,
So
you kind of answered my next question. Any memorable message like that you remember from them? I mean,
yeah.
a launch, it's already on another level.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So, what advice would you give your fellow authors when working with their publishers or designers or editors?
I would say to make sure you order your first copy first, read it, highlight stuff, and then go in, make corrections. Having an editor is nice, but some people might not be able to afford an editor, and you could be your own editor. But if you are going to do that, order you a copy first before you publish it and go through, because sometimes typing and things like that, we can't really see the mistakes, but you'll be able to see it in black and white. So
How do you handle the challenge of marketing and sales?
I was born for this. I don't mind asking anybody to support me. So what I did is just kind of create a plan. I said everybody in my phone, even if I haven't talked to them, if I don't know who this is, I, say, hey, would you like to support me? I have a new book coming out. Here's my website. Send them the link. Everybody on my social media, I'm in their inbox as well. Printing out flyers because I had a book release, going to the mall, talking with people because I'm not a shy person. I know some people are like, wait a minute, I'm not going up to nobody and doing that. But sometimes, you have to be your own PR person, and you're writing the book and your own advertisement and your own this, your own agent. You have to do all of these things until you can get to that next level. So just really believing in yourself and that what you have is good and not scared of rejection, not scared of somebody saying no, you'll be okay. Set a goal. If your goal is to have $100 in sales, does that mean you need to sell 5 books a week? Okay, so does that mean you need to sell one book Monday through Friday a day? So until don't rest, don't stop until you sell that one book a day. I've seen a quote from Usain Bolt, and he said that he trained 4 years just to run 9 seconds. 4 years to run 9 seconds, and people cannot take time out for months, into themselves. So a lot of people that we see that are great, they have done radical things. And sometimes you might, in order to reach that level, you might have to step out of your comfort zone to get the sales you want. Because when you're on Amazon, just because you're on Amazon don't mean the book is going to sell. So you have to be your own voice to produce what you want, whatever your goal is.
So, what do you feel is your greatest accomplishment since you started this path?
My greatest accomplishment, I don't know. I think releasing this book is something that people actually like. And I love the cover. I love how it goes with everything. I think that it's just perfect. So, this right now, just releasing something that people actually read and like to read is a great accomplishment for me.
So, what are your plans for the future? Are you planning like a sequel? Do you have like an idea of what you want to do regarding that?
Yeah, so like I said, initially had like 20 characters. So I have plenty of situations and scenarios of how women settle. So I'm excited to create another sequel to this. And also, I'm working on my major novel. It's called Strong Stilettos. And I'm excited to dive into that book and create it as well.
Ooh, that's a very impressive name.
Yeah, it's about four different women. They all wear heels. It's about a preacher's wife, a stripper, a prostitute, and a successful businesswoman, and how their lives all intertwine. So it's kind of interesting to see what they all have in common. And the stiletto idea is that it's such a small, skinny part of a heel, but yet it can hold up hundreds of pounds, you know? And that is us as women. We are soft and we're fragile and we're gentle, but we also can hold a lot of things and take a lot of things and still stay standing. So that is the message. And that's also part of a group that I started called Strong Stilettos. It's a women's empowerment group.
That's interesting. So you have like two books for the moment in progress.
Yes.
Tell me, do you have plans for going to an event or something so people can meet you?
Yeah, so I was looking at different movie festivals. I wanted to kind of branch out and, you know, take my book there because, like I said, I want to be on the big screen as eventually. Different book festivals. I know New York has a very high top percentage of people who read there. So I would love to travel to New York to do like some promotions and things like that. Doing podcasts like this is a great way, a great exposure for my book. So I just have to, you know, network and to get my book on the forefront.
Yeah, I get it. In New York, there's a great read culture. I know about that. Where are you from, by the way?
So I'm originally from North Carolina, lived in Florida, grew up in Florida as well. So I'm a Southern belle. Either way you look at it, they're both Southern states. But right now I reside in Ohio.
It's still a long travel from to New York.
It's not too far. It's actually only 8 hours.
It's doable.
Yeah.
What platforms do you use to share your book?
So I have my own website that people can order onto www.zoivictoria.com. Zoe is spelled with an I. So ZoiVictoria.com. TikTok, I'm called The Pretty Poet, the.pretty.poet.
Okay, that's a good selection. Are you not in Ingram's Park?
You say what?
If you used Ingram's Park,
I don't even know what that is.
just like Amazon and others.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to, and it's called Ingram's Park. Okay, Spark. Okay, gotcha.
So, are you on other social media? You know, Instagram, Facebook, etc.
Yeah, Instagram, the Zoe Victoria, and my Facebook is Winter Winter. Chanel is my name on Facebook. If you guys want to check me out there.
It would be great if we can talk more when your next book is out. So, how do you feel like it's close to finish, or you have to start it?
Next year.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I want to promote this book as much as I can and then start honing in on the other one.
Yeah, of course. You have to do your research, your outline, etc. But I get it. Not anyone can be like those authors that do like $3 a year.
It was a pleasure. And thank you so much for making my cover. It's so, so beautiful. If you guys are interested in a nice short story novel, please check out my book and support. It's called The Women Who Settle.
Well, everyone, this was another episode of Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Thank you, Zoe, for accompanying us today. It was a great interview. Bye.